So I'll constantly see powerlifters chasing a narrower grip on their squat where they're trying to bring their hands and almost touch their shoulders, but then you take a look at their technique and they're folded forward like a Pringle. And the real cause of that lack of shelf and folded forward position that we see with a lot of lifters isn't that they haven't gotten their hands narrow enough yet or haven't squeezed their shoulders enough. It's actually just a lot simpler than that, in that they're skipping a critical step first. And so what I want to show you right now is why a narrower grip by itself is going to create the illusion of tightness before you unrack it, but then the moment it actually comes out of the rack and you have to grind or even reverse coming out of the hole is only going to cause you to fold forward harder. And so my name is Matt Taylor, and in 2013 I personally broke a national record in the squat twice in the same meet, and I did it without my thumbs in my ears. And at a coaching level, I've coached lifters who've squatted as heavy as 672 pounds with pretty dang clean bar path. And so the exact pattern that I see with this hand position in the low bar squat shows up at really everything from national all the way down to local level meets and first timers. And so consistently what I'll see is there's this progression where lifters will start lifting, they'll start out with high bar squats and then transition to low bar at some point because they're trying to be competitive and they can add 20, 30, 40 pounds to their squat if they switch to low bar. And so they'll start to bring their hands closer and closer because they know they're supposed to get their shoulders and their back tight and create this shelf. But then what we see is, yeah, their setup looks all right, but then they actually get compressed under the weight and they're all over the place. Like they look like this, their elbows are 10 inches behind the bar, or as they come out of the hole, they violently rip forward like that. And a lot of this is just because a narrower grip is gonna force your shoulders to press into the bar more, right? Getting there is absolutely gonna do that, but if you don't have the range of motion passively, well, first of all, you're just not gonna be able to get your hands in, but if you don't have the range of motion actively, you're gonna compensate somewhere, and that's typically gonna mean flaring your ribs, which is just gonna destabilize the whole system. You're basically like stealing from Peter to pay Paul. You got your hands narrower, but now you can't actually brace or get your back in a good position. And the reason I see a lot of lifters chase this narrower hand grip is because they're too focused on tactics instead of having an overall strategy with their lift. And so if you have a strategy, that means you're gonna have a sequence and you're gonna have priorities. Whereas if you're chasing tactics, you're going after quick fixes, right? This is your 60-second Instagram reel to fix your whole training program instead of devising a multi-year strategy to progress to the elite point of the pinnacle of the powerlifting sport. And it really is that is the key difference, is we're looking at the patience to work on something over time instead of just doing a quick fix once and hoping it works. And so let's go back to just where should your hands even be in the squat in the first place. I'm a really big fan of using a wall slide both as a diagnostic tool and as a builder tool. And so if you just think about putting your hips and your shoulders and your knuckles and your elbows on the wall and you were to slide down and in as far as you can, at the level of your shoulders, how narrow can you get your hands? Right? That's a good starting point for your squat. And if you do a bunch of reps with that, that's gonna start to build that control, and you'll notice you can start to come lower and closer in. And what I find with a lot of lifters that I'm working with who are able to create that stability instead of just like jamming their hands in as close as they can and folding themselves back like this, is not only is their technique on their attempts, so like their warm-ups, their opener, their second, their third, look a lot more similar in terms of their upper back and their trunk position, but they also tend to just run into a lot less issues with their tendons and ligaments in their wrists and their shoulders and their elbows. A, because they have more overall control in them, but B, they're not passively resting on a lot of those tissues, which is not just gonna hurt, but it's probably gonna mess with your bench too. And so think about it this way. You're gonna have your passive range of motion. Okay, where can you just kind of position your hands? You want your active range of motion to be as close to that as possible. And then you're going to load that up. And this is just that sequence of walk before you can run, right? Don't worry about getting the closest grip before you can actually control that range of motion without a bar on your back.